What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
All right. So is it Sunday? It's Sunday night live stream. Radio Baloney Live on Sunday nights. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. Pretty chill. Pretty relaxing. I hope you had a nice weekend too. I hope it was relaxing. If you wanted excitement, I hope that you got some excitement. But here we are, Sunday night again. What are we going to talk about? Well, should we go through the menu? Looks like we got JJ Nevada in the chat already. Good to see ya. Well, this is very interesting, what Nevada's saying. He's saying, hit the like button. Don't be a trutard or a Kamala tard. Get free good karma for doing it. It's true. It's true. And now it looks like Nevada got the first like on the stream, which gives you double good karma. You still get good karma for all the ones after that, but you don't get the double. That's only the first one. But the karma you're still getting is high quality, excellent good karma that you could need in these troubled times. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying your life's going to go to hell. I'm just saying in these troubled times, can you be turning your back on free good karma, high quality, the highest quality good karma? I don't know. I'm not you. I'm just me. So I know for myself. I'm not turning that down. Hey, we got Rosie in the chat. She says, JJ won again. Rosie just hit the like because she's awesome, but is number 2. But you still get that high quality good karma. Anyway, good to see you in the chat. Should we go through the menu? Is there anything, even before we get to that, is there anything you guys want to talk about tonight that I might not have on the menu? You can throw it into the chat and we will definitely consider it. All right, let's go through the menu. First off, I wanted to show you this. I just had Grok do up an image for me. Doesn't look perfectly like Trump, but this is Trump in front of a Trump hotel at a Mars city. So it's a city, a small city on Mars, but there's an enormous Trump hotel there. As you know, Trump and Elon are getting along pretty well these days. So who knows? We can dream, right? We can dream. There's another one here. There's another one. There's Trump on Mars in front of his giant Mars hotel. Now, he's not wearing any kind of spacesuit here. So it's possible that Trump can just survive on Mars without any kind of, protective gear to survive. It's possible. I mean, after everything I've seen, that's totally possible. Or maybe he just terraformed the planet and, gave it an Earth-like atmosphere. They said it would cost 800 trillion billion. I did it for 3 million. They said it couldn't be done. That's the sort of thing Trump would do. I think we can all agree on that. Let's see, was there any other ones here? Here's another one. There's this Trump hotel in the background, and he's rescuing some kittens on Mars. I thought you guys would like that. Now, the Trump hotel, this looks a little run down, this Mars Trump hotel. So I don't know. I didn't like this one as much, but I like the fact that he's saving kittens on Mars. I think that's great. It's the sort of thing that Trump would do. Let's see. Rosie's saying HAARP, HAARP, and weather control. That's something for us to look up. Nevada says Anna Paulina Luna, opponent arrested for wanting to kill her. I did see that. I don't think I have anything in here, so we'll definitely check that out. Let me write these down so I remember. All right, hold on a sec. Okay. Weather control. I don't really know anything about that. Anna Luna opponent. Yeah, there we go. So that's on a post-it note right now. So, and it's somewhere that I will see it. So, Rosie says that was a good Trump voice impression. I think it wasn't bad. Let's see, Rosie, are you using AI? Yeah. So these were a Grok AI to create these, and they're not bad. They're not bad. I like this one. I think I really like the one with Trump with the kittens on Mars, but again, the Trump hotel does not look like it's in good shape there in this one. So that it would be perfect. It would be pristine. It would be perfect, even if it was on Mars. Rosie says, was wondering about the respiratory support. Well, again, my theory is that Trump probably could just survive on Mars just in his suit. Like he wouldn't need a spacesuit, just his suit. I think he would probably be fine. I mean, he's very rugged. You know, he's got an incredible constitution, right? So he may not need a spacesuit, but also he may have just terraformed Mars for really cheap. Got a great deal on it, right? And now it's perfect. It's perfect. Everybody says so. Let's see. Rosie says, "Oh, we need to know what flavor cake you were serving on Tuesday." I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest. Now, Tuesday, I'm actually going to have to be late on Tuesday because I've got something I've got to do. But it'll probably not 6 o'clock Pacific time. Probably be more like 8 o'clock Pacific time, maybe 8:30, something like that. But I do want to go live on Tuesday. But it's going to have to be a little bit later because I just have, family commitments. Yeah, so AI did create these, and it's fun. So we can play a bit of, if you guys want later on, if we have time, if we feel like it, we can do. So we can have Grok make some images for us. It'll be fun. I like to do requests. What is on the menu for tonight that I've got already organized? All right. These WEF dingbats, these WEF clowns, these World Economic Forum blob loonies, these maroons. They never stop. They never stop. They're like the Terminator, right? You can't reason with them. They'll just keep coming after you. John Kerry says First Amendment is major block to censoring disinformation. What's disinformation? What is disinformation, chat? Is that things that aren't true? Or are those things that are true but inconvenient? Well, it says WEFers. WEFers. I think we know what he means by that. What is disinformation? Well, we know it's not things that aren't true. We know that. We know that all too often disinformation is just information, but it's inconvenient information, inconvenient truths, you might say. First Amendment is a major block to censoring disinformation. These people are bad. To me, that is the part of this race, this election is all about. To me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States? For him, that's what this race, this election is all about. Will he be able to censor everybody who disagrees with him? That's what it's all about. They don't really even try and hide it, is the problem. At the World Economic Forum Sustainable Development Impact meetings in New York City Wednesday, John Kerry, the Biden-Harris administration's former climate czar and former Secretary of State, claimed the First Amendment is not so much about protecting free speech, but about putting disinformation, in other words, inconvenient information, out of existence. Well, I think we've got a video of this absolute dingbat, this malignant dingbat. Malignant dingbat. I like that. John Kerry says the quiet part out loud. Well, they're not hiding it anymore. Oh, God damn it. Hold on. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So first off, let's make this whole thing bigger. And then we'll go like this. All right. Let's see what this malignant dingbat has to say.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building.
What the dislike? He's talking about the dislike amongst him and his ilk and his friends, right? All of the elites and the billionaires that he hangs out with. You know, sometimes it seems like I feel like I'm going on like an anti-capitalist rant. I'm not against billionaires. I'm for free markets, right? But what we're seeing is an erosion of free markets with this unholy alliance, this fascist alliance between, well, let's take big tech as an example, this marriage between government, particularly one government party and one ideology, and big tech. You know, their goal is to squeeze out everybody else, right? We see like they want X is not cooperating with the John Kerrys of the world. The people who support him, right? So they want it gone. You know, it's not oligarchy is not the kind of capitalism we're looking for. We're looking for free markets, right? We're looking for freedom. They want to take that away. Part of that is the first part of taking away your economic freedom is taking away your freedom to speak your mind, to challenge ideas you don't like or that you can see are dangerous for you and your well-being and the well-being of your family and your friends and your neighbors and everybody who's not John Kerry. But they've all gotten together. I mean, he's telling us here, they get together in Davos and they all agree that this social media that they can't control is, it's very frustrating for them. They don't like it.
In consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. Let's
hear that again.
Social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around.
Part of our problem, our isn't you. You're not in the hour, right? You're not part of his hour, right? Part of the problem in building consensus. Right. They already have consensus. Everybody who meets up in Davos already has consensus amongst themselves. That's the only consensus that they care about. Right. It's convincing people to be useful idiots and just go along with it. Trust the experts, they tell us. The word experts really been through the ringer the last few years, hasn't it? And they don't like that either. It must be the fault of people who challenge them. Right? That's the real problem in the world. It must be people having a choice of information that they want to consume. That must be the problem. Because they're already in consensus, right? They're already in consensus. I mean, they would like to take away your car. They would like to take away your air conditioning. They would like to take away your ability to travel or minimize it to some extreme degree that they approve of. They've made up their minds. It's for you, though. It's not for them, right? The people with the consensus, it's a consensus for you, not for them. It's socialism for thee, not for me. Or maybe it's a Chinese style totalitarianism for thee, not for me. Anyway, let's continue.
On any issue, it's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no.
You have to understand the way they use language, the way they understand language. It's really hard to govern today. Well, by govern, he means it's really hard to get everybody to do what they want. It's really hard to get people to agree to destroy their own quality of life, their own standard of living, and that of their friends and family, their children. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to get people to do things that are harmful for themselves but benefit people like John Kerry. It's really hard to get people to get a consensus amongst the people, the voting public, to agree to transfer all of their wealth upwards to the people who meet every year at Davos. That, I'm not being facetious. I think that's in his head. That's what he actually means.
The referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to...
Let's go back there a second. Hold on.
We used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go and...
How they used to determine what's a fact, what's not a fact has been eviscerated in a way. And what are the facts? Well, the facts are the ice caps are all going to be gone by, what was it, 2010? Let's see. Oh, yeah, if you get the vaccine, you can't get sick and you can't pass on the vaccine. That was another fact. That's a wonderful one, wasn't it? Facts like, I don't know, like Hunter Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. Or everything they don't like is Russian disinformation or a Russian plot. And if you can't find your car keys, you know what happened? Putin hid them. He does that. He's that evil.
That people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than...
People self-select where they get their information from. Again, it's that pesky freedom again. God, I mean, why don't we understand? Why can't we empathize with poor John Kerry, who doesn't want us to self-select anything? We should just do what he said. It makes him so sad when we don't just immediately do what he tells us. It makes him so sad when we all don't just decide to destroy our own livelihoods, our futures, our children's futures for him. It makes him so sad that, like, we don't want to eat the bugs and that we don't want to own nothing and be happy. It makes him so sad. It's so frustrating. Can't you see how frustrating this is for him? He knows what's best for you. He knows it. He also knows that it's terrible. And he doesn't care. And you can imagine how frustrating this would be for him.
At any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick.
What, like CNN? Like New York Times? Like MSNBC? Yeah, I agree. I agree with John Kerry. If people are getting all their news from CNN, if people are getting all their news from MSNBC, and, people think that, the police are hunting down 40,000 black people a year, which literally some people believe this, right? Unarmed people and shooting them every year. I mean, that's very wrong. If people are watching MSNBC and they think that, the rioters on January 6th killed 5 police officers when they actually killed none. Yeah, that's bad. If people watch nothing but MSNBC and they think that the world is going to end because of climate change in 10 years, sure, that's bad. But they should still be able to do it. You still need to have a variety of news sources. We're just saying that we want something other than MSNBC, which I'm sure John Kerry has been on a million times and loves. It's the same battle in every Western country, by the way, too, right? Like, I'm fine with the CBC, state media, existing in Canada, as long as it's not state media anymore, as long as it gets no funds from the government, right, and has to survive on its own. If it can do that, I'm fine with that. I just don't want everything else that might have a different perspective or maybe actual facts. I don't want that banned. He wants it all banned. And,
has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation our First Amendment.
He's just describing almost the entire mainstream media. How can you say these things when you know that mainstream media coverage of Donald Trump, for instance, in the United States is 95% negative? How can you say that on ABC News in the United States, Kamala Harris's coverage is 100% positive? 100% positive. 100. Not a word. Not a second of reality on ABC News. Yet they sit there so smugly, so pedantically, rhapsodizing about misinformation and people are getting the wrong information. Well, we know you don't like it. We know that you don't like it. But fuck you. Kerry gets nothing. Maddening.
Stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is
Did you hear that? Hammer it out of existence.
Has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation. Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out.
First Amendment stands as a major block in the ability to hammer out the disinformation with an agenda. Sits there with a straight face saying it too. It's truly astonishing. Truly astonishing. The hubris here. It's almost unbelievable if we couldn't see it and hear it with our own eyes and ears. All right.
Of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change.
Win enough votes to be able to, this sounds fairly euphemistic to me, implement change. Implement change. Got to win enough votes somehow, to be able to implement change. Implement change. I wonder what he means by implement change. And I wonder if it has anything to do with hammering out information that he doesn't like. It feels, implementing change, it sounds very euphemistic to me. I think we know exactly what he means. Get rid of any dissent so they can have consensus, so that they can manufacture the consensus, just not give anybody any ability to think anything else. I'm sure he's read 1984 50 times cover to cover and thought it was a great idea, the whole thing. Why haven't we actually done this for real?
In other ways. And
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with.
I think if you don't believe in the First Amendment, if you don't believe in free speech, you don't believe in democracy. And that's the big tell that when they use the word democracy, it's not the way that you use the word democracy. I know that democracy being just a kind of catch-all. I know the United States is a constitutional republic. Canada's, parliamentary democracy, right? These aren't direct democracies, but you take my point. They have a different meaning for it. Their meaning for democracy is they rule. It's their democracy, not yours. Maybe they can quibble within their own ideology somewhat, but their ideology wins and is enforced by force at the end of a barrel of a gun with the state's monopoly on violence. That's what they mean by democracy. Anyway, this guy's a cretin, isn't he? This guy's an absolute cretin. In fact, I think somebody has something to say to John Kerry.
You can stuff it up your ass for nothing and fuck off while you're doing it.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. What's going on in the chat? Well, we got hot retarded chicks over on YouTube there. He's saying he believes MSNBC. No, you don't. Although, you know, maybe he's crazy enough to. I don't know. Sometimes I worry about you, HRSC. Definitely not Hillary Rodham Clinton. HRC, hot retarded chicks, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, I definitely have no information that would lead to the arrest of anybody. So there we go. Let's see. JJ Nevada says things that make you think or make them look bad are disinformation. 100%. Let's see. Nevada says that asshole, that a-hole actually ran for president once. Wish he would just go away. Yep. He won't, though. He's got an agenda. Let's see. Antipup, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Inconvenient Truth was a sewer of, I think, information or disinformation. It was a, I remember watching that back when it came out and, you know, being a young person and easily influenced, easily manipulated. Turns out he was wrong. Rosie says, I've been posting invitation on Truth for people to join us here live. Nice. Thank you, Rosie. You're awesome. Nevada says he's responsible for the creation of the term flip-flopping. That's true. That's true. Let's see. What else we got? Man, you guys are typing away in the chat. Antipop says he should be dressed like a tree. Like a tree. I think he should marry a tree. That's what I think. Greta Thunberg married a tree, right? Let's see. Nevada says, asshole is probably going to live to 110. I wouldn't doubt it. He'll be, the last, 20 years of his life, he'll be just hooked up to some machine in his mansion that keeps him alive. Let's see what else we got going on. All right. All right. So we can't handle that this WEF dingbat anymore. Actually, what do people say about it underneath? Let's see. All right, let's move on. What else do we have? Should we go back to that picture of Trump again? Look at that. He's on Mars. There's a Trump hotel in the background, and he's saving kittens. Look at it. Look at that. That's wonderful. Love it. Love it. There he is in front of his Trump hotel on Mars again. It's great. And as we said earlier, he doesn't actually even need a spacesuit, I don't think. Right? I mean, he can just, he can just go out just in his suit. He doesn't need a spacesuit. It's amazing. It's a hell of a guy. He's truly amazing. Let's see. So we already dealt with this. That maroon. We looked at this a bit on Friday, but I think it's so worth it because it is such a massive, it should be such a massive scandal, this story. But this is the stuff that I find surreal, right? That a story of this magnitude, the mainstream media just doesn't cover. This is part of that 95% negative Trump, 100% Kamala Harris, good news on the news thing, right? The scale of the deception is jaw-dropping. Elon Musk slams media silence on report of over 420,000 criminal illegal immigrants released into the U.S. 420,000 criminal illegal immigrants released into U.S. That's not even all of them. Hold on. What do we have here? There's another pending criminal charges, 222,000. That's right. That's like, what is that? 647,000. 62,000 convicted. Assault. 42,000 pending criminal charges. Burglary. Between that, that's 17,000. Dangerous drugs. That's 69,000 there. I mean, this should be the scandal of the century. Homicide, 13,000 convicted, another 1,800 pending charges. So that's what, 15,000 there almost. Homicide, murder. Robbery, there's 12,000. Sexual assault at 19,000, just about 20,000 there. This is what people who hate you do. This is what people who hate you do. Elon Musk has weighed in on the mainstream media's silence regarding a recent ICE report revealing that more than 420,000 illegal immigrants convicted of crimes are currently residing freely in the United States. So you know what? I want to go back to John Kerry first, because I made some notes. I took the time to make some notes. I haven't done that for a few live streams, but I took the time to make some notes, and I just remembered it. And I probably already went over all of this stuff. But my point is that, like, if you want to know what they're talking about in Davos at the WEF every year, this is the stuff they're talking about, right? There's a myriad of other ways to basically just exercise total control of the population. Obviously, censorship is a huge step towards it. You lose free speech and you've got nothing else, really. You'll lose everything else eventually. Right? No dissent, no private ownership, everything rented. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You have to rent everything. You know, and therefore it's everything you have is easily taken away from you or just denied in the first place. No mobility, right? They want to get rid of the cars. And also, there's a 15-minute cities. What is this? This is, it reminds me of after the Russian Revolution, after the Bolshevik takeover in Russia, right? The peasants, and there was actually a peasant war because the peasants were rebelling against the Bolsheviks. They called it a new serfdom. That, the hero, they're saviors, the saviors of the poor. They called it a new kind of serfdom under the Bolsheviks. They realized it wasn't going to go well. So what people like John Kerry are looking for is a new kind of global totalitarian serfdom for humanity. Right? They look at what's happening in China. I think they drool. Now, let's not forget that, of course, the John Kerrys of the world and his other pals at the WEF, they will still need private planes. How else will they fly around to save the world without their private jets? They'll still need their mansions, obviously, and they'll still need steak. You can have the bugs, because you're just a serf, but John Kerry's still going to be having a nice steak. Who are we kidding here, right? They're going to be skipping the crickets. So what is it? Climate change, the next man-made pandemic, disinformation. It's just this perpetual state of war that you'll have to shoulder the burden of. Obviously, it won't be John Kerry who'll have to do that. You will. And the actual war, right? The actual wars, he's not going to go fight in those. Because why would he? The whole point of all this is to secure the wealth and power and trips to Davos in private jets for the permanent ruling class, which he obviously wants to be in, or he sees himself in, right? When he's talking about consensus, it's not everybody. He's talking about his consensus, right? He's talking about the top-down forcing of consensus on people. What does consensus really mean? It means you're afraid to fucking disagree. That's the consensus he's talking about. I'm telling you, these people, they look at like totalitarian China and they drool. They drool at it. That's the perfect, I think they found the perfect system. Anyway, now we can move on. The report released last week. So we're talking about this report, this recent ICE report that revealed that there's 640,000 criminals that have been released by ICE that are just running around freely in the United States. The report released last week detailed that among the convicted criminal illegal immigrants are over 62,000 individuals convicted of assault, more than 13,000 convicted of homicide, and over 15,000 convicted of sexual assault. None of these individuals are being held in detention. How do you know that they hate you? Or at the very least, they are completely unconcerned with your well-being, completely indifferent to your well-being. They know this is happening. They know this was happening. They obviously know this was happening. Didn't care. They're not operating. The Biden administration has not been operating off a desire to care for or nurture the well-being of the American people. Otherwise, you wouldn't do this. You have to know that this is happening. You have to know when you're bringing in millions of people that you can't handle, that the system simply can't handle, can't process. You have to know. Anybody would know this. Anybody would say, well, hold on a second. Wait. How can we be sure that like murderers aren't getting in, for instance? Trump keeps saying they're emptying the prisons. Like maybe we ought to be, watch out for that. Oh, I'm a racist for saying that? Oh, sorry. I guess I better just put my head back in the sand again. Really is. I mean, this stuff is just surreal. Is it not? What part of this isn't surreal? What part of it, if you were to wake up and you're in an alternate universe, right? None of this would shock you. Despite the gravity of these revelations, the report has been largely ignored by mainstream media outlets. Fox News' Greg Gutfeld, during the Five, expressed his disbelief. Well, actually, we've got that clip. Let's take a look.
In the real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason because this story is so unbelievable. I wanted to see if it was reported elsewhere. It couldn't find it on MSNBC, CNN, Drudge. You have the release of hundreds of thousands of foreign criminals, like they emptied the jails, raped thousands of rapists, thousands of murderers. And on the pages of all of these networks, the death of Maggie Smith, which is sad, great actress, Lana Del Rey's marriage, P. Diddy rumors, but nothing about what is easily one of the most probably the biggest crime story I've ever seen. So we know that Democrats watch this show. Some of them hate watching. But if you're watching this, the media doesn't want you to know this information. They don't want it to reach you. They would rather you die or be raped than Trump be right or find out the truth. So you can hate Fox all you want. You can hate Trump all you want. You can hate me. But you can't hate yourself and your family so much that you're going to ignore a story that puts them in danger. Now, even if these numbers are off by 50%, please, I think that the fact checkers should fact check it. Tell us, no, it's not 16,000 rapists. It's only 8,000. It's only 7,000 murders. Cool. I'm glad you're okay with that. I'll take your fact check. But anybody who defends this or says it's not that big a deal is complicit, and they should be held accountable. every victim of every crime by the people that are in here that we haven't vilified, who are actual villains, you need to file a class action suit against this government. You know, these bastards were more offended by stories of cats being eaten than real stories reported here of actual rape and murder. And if you ask why those other stories existed, it was the only way to get these a-holes in the media to even look at this story. They can only see immigration as a gotcha moment for political gain. There are actual people that are dying. This is a huge story. Where is it?
Well, even with like Springfield, right? They didn't actually investigate it, the mainstream media. They called a local Democrat official who said, "Oh, nothing to see here." I went, "Yep, see, that proves it." That's not journalism. That is not journalism. What you would do if you actually wanted to know the truth is you would send, every network would send somebody there. Every newspaper would send somebody there and talk to the local people. Talk to those people that we have the video, all those people that we have the video of in City Hall complaining, making their complaints known. All those man on the street videos, all those anecdotal accounts, they'd go and actually talk to those people. They didn't. They called a Democrat official who told them, "Nope, nothing to see here." And they went, "Aha, proves it." Or they went, "That's good enough. That's good enough. We can say official says not true." And then we don't have to do any more work, right? We have our job is to hide the truth from the public. So this is enough for us to say, job well done. Person with obvious political motive to lie tells us that there's no problem. Done. Case closed. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Let's see. MHJ, welcome to the chat. Got a Fez Woody in the chat. Let's see what you have to say. Welcome to the chat. Good news is we force them to speed up their agenda, so they are making mistakes like telling their hand. Yeah, seems to be the case, doesn't it? Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says less than 10% are violent criminals. I think that is the number they want us to realize. 90% have never been caught committing violent crimes. Can you imagine, like, say it was a story. Say that they actually were doing what they claimed to be doing, which was trying to have a secure border, right? Say there was a story where there was one border agent, one ICE agent, who intentionally let in a convicted murderer into the country. And you lived in a sane world, and that became news, right? Like, everybody would demand that person be fired. If they did that on purpose, especially if that person went on to kill a citizen, right? It's really quite strange. I mean, when you look at these numbers, hold on. Let's go back
in the real
again.
world.
You look at these numbers, 420,000 convicted criminals. Now, just crossing the border illegally is already a crime, right? They get around it by saying that everybody's a refugee. Well, they're obviously not, right? Very few of them are actual refugees. They get around it. But just crossing into a country illegally is already a crime, right? But you've got people that are convicted of other crimes already. 425,000, 222,000 pending criminal charges. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. If you've committed any crime, violent or nonviolent, maybe you scammed a senior out of their life savings, right? Should not be allowed in. Maybe you've got a drunk driving conviction. Nope, sorry. That should be the way. But that's the sane way, right? So I think Rosie's saying, you know, they're saying less than 10% are violent criminals, and that's what they want to. Yeah, but so what? I mean, violent crimes aren't the only kind of crimes that ruin people's lives and hurt people, right? There's lots of white collar crime that has ruined people's lives, driven them to end themselves. You know, it's the reason why nonviolent crime is also illegal. I've got some bad news for you guys. For some reason, there seems to be a glitch. No ads again for this stream. God damn it. I think this might be the only stream on the internet that actually where the audience actually likes the ads. So I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. Got nothing. So I'm not making my $1.87 in ad reads this time. Oh well. Let's see. If any of you guys got like a business you want me to promote, I'll just read. I'll do it for free. I'll just read an ad that you put up for your business. I'll promote it for you because I just like doing ad reads. It's fun. Let's see. Looks like we got Rumbum in the chat. Good evening, my fellow degenerates. Yep. It's true. We are all degenerates. I care how you doing. Let's see. We got Michael Douglas in again. Good to see you. Says the power is still out. Wow, since Friday. Maybe even until Friday. Wow. Some people predict Helene did 1 trillion in damages. My data doesn't let Rumble play without buffering. Well, I'm glad that you're okay. And anybody else, I mean, you know, prayers to anybody who's suffering from, what is a catastrophe. Glad you made it into the chat. Good to see you. Let's see. Rosie says, it reminds me of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The focus is on her finding her best situation, not on the fact she's a break and enter criminal. I love it. I love it. I should put her away. Put her in the bear prison. God damn it. Breaking into bears' homes. God damn it. What kind of society? All right. What do we got going on here? What was the... Hold on a sec. All right. Let's move on. So here's Tulsi. She was speaking at Rescue the Republic rally in Washington, D.C., which had her, and I think RFK was there, and Brett Weinstein was there. And it's this kind of, coalition, right, of, former Democrats and conservatives and, former, I guess, post-liberals. And it looked like they had a decent crowd, not a huge crowd. Maybe it got bigger in some other clips, but let's take a look at Tulsi talking here.
Because our opportunity is rooted in our responsibility as American citizens to remember that our founders told us that our government exists only with the consent of the governed. That's us. Everything that we are seeing happening now, the weaponization of government entities, the censorship of free speech, the political retaliation against those who have the audacity to criticize those in power. They are throwing everything that they can at us to undermine our democracy because they are terrified of what a free people in a free society will do to uproot them from their power and bring our interests to the forefront once again of freedom, peace, and prosperity.
This is the perfect counterpoint to that John Kerry clip that we showed. In fact, we'll probably go back to that after this, and we'll compare the two.
So I hope you feel hopeful as I do, that as we are surrounded by hate, we confront hate with love. That as we are surrounded by darkness, we confront that darkness with the light of the truth and common sense. And that literally, as we are surrounded by warmongers rapidly beating their war drums, we stand strong and speak with clarity and courage for peace.
That is just the opposite. That is the opposite of Kerry. Let's go back to Kerry again. Let's hear what he has to say. So she's talking about freedom and people's self-determination. What is Kerry talking about?
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue.
So when he says it's part of the problem, this is what he's talking about here. Because this wasn't getting covered on mainstream media, right? This wasn't going to be on CNN. I doubt the New York Times has a reporter there to cover it, or the Washington Post. This isn't going to be on, they're not going to be covering this on MSNBC. In fact, I doubt very much this was covered on Fox, maybe very briefly. But this is what he's talking about. This is what's so inconvenient for him.
It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And
Tulsi's talking about people's own people power, right? He's talking about how hard it is to govern. He's the voice of the blob, right? He's talking about how hard it is to govern. By govern, he means dictate. That's what he means. He means enforce his worldview, the worldview of the blob, onto everybody else. And let's watch the beginning of her speech here again.
Because our opportunity is rooted in our responsibility as American citizens to remember that our founders told us that our government exists only with the consent of the governed. That's us.
He talks about it's hard to govern, and we know what he means by govern. She's talking about the consent of the governed. These are diametrically opposed viewpoints concerning you, concerning your rights, concerning your ability to choose your own future. It's so clear and stark. This contrast between these two hadn't even occurred to me while I was putting together this stream, right? It's just actually seeing these two clips back to back. You go, wow, this really is a clear and stark demonstration of two very different worldviews. She talks about the consent of the governed. John Kerry talks about how hard it is to govern because there's misinformation and people hearing things that he doesn't want them to hear that conflict with his worldview. It really is a perfect comparison, isn't it? It shows you everything that you need to know. Wow. Anyway, I don't like him. Let's hear him again.
And people go, and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And
oh, you can't have that self-selecting. That sounds too much like freedom to me.
You can stuff it up your ass for nothing and fuck off while you're doing it.
Words of wisdom. What's going on with this? From John Solomon, Department of Justice sues Alabama over attempt to remove non-citizens from voter rolls. They're not hiding it. They are just not hiding it. Wow. I think, in Canadian media, The CBC would report this as Department of Justice tries to enforce election integrity or something like that. Department of Justice sues Alabama over attempt to remove non-citizens from voter. Really? They're just making it obvious. Same thing with the SAVE Act, right? We have to win this election to save our country from a criminal justice department that puts the criminal in criminal justice, from Mike Benz. And Elon Musk says, and this, man, they are hating him probably at exponential levels more every single day. The clown world level is reaching unprecedented levels. It's true. I mean, what do you say? They're not hiding it. Right? They're not hiding it. Department of Justice sues Alabama over attempt to remove non-citizens from voter rolls. For some reason, they want those non-citizens on the voter rolls. Why? I mean, I guess, you don't have to worry because cheating never happens, right? They never vote, right? We already know that. So I guess there's nothing to worry about, but still, just to clean things up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. All right. You know what? I think it's time to move on from YouTube. So this is the part of the show where we cut off the YouTube part of the stream and we continue on Rumble. We have to cut the YouTube part off short because it's too much censorship there and I've had problems with it. So we'll do, we do an hour, maybe an hour and a half sometimes, just to let everybody know on YouTube that, we're still do live shows, to also inform you that if you just want the whole show without being interrupted, just go to Rumble. And if you want to continue watching, just go over to Rumble. It's great over here. Way more people watch it on Rumble. Way more people. The chat is awesome over on Rumble. And we have an awesome chat who will welcome you in. And they're all great people. And you will love them. Seriously, you will love them. You won't be able to stop thinking about them. It'll distract you while you're at work. But anyway, just come on over. But we have to shut down YouTube because you know what we call it sometimes? We call it Stalin Tube. Some people call it Mao Tube. Many people call it Mao Tube. Some people call it Pol Pot Tube. You could call it Castro Tube if you want. You could call it Commie Tube if you want. But we're going to have to say goodbye right now. Come over to YouTube and we will continue. I hope to see you over there. Ah.